and the F-35C, a carrier-based model built for the US Navy. Joining us live at this point is General Deepak Kapoor, former Chief of the Indian Army Staff. Welcome. Thank you very much for being with us, General Kapoor. What do you make of these talks that have transpired between Prime Minister Modi of India and President Trump of the United States, particularly the talks that focused on defense procurement?
The US is very keen that we buy a lot of defense equipment from them. It's a good idea, it's futuristic, but we also must remember that it's expensive equipment. And while we would be happy to buy futuristic equipment, we also need to cater for the kind of budget which is required to buy such equipment. Unfortunately, the amount of budget which is allocated for defense for the next financial year, I'm afraid that is not going to be able to meet a lot of the requirements, especially of the Air Force, where we have a major deficiency. And therefore, there would be issues unless and until there is a rethink in allocating additional budget for procurement of such advanced aircraft like fifth generation fighter planes and other equipment.
Absolutely. If we talk now about the F-35 fighter jet in particular, sir, what is its speciality? How big a boost can it be for our force?
Look, we are still looking and still waiting for the fifth generation fighter aircraft to come in. And where you find our so-called adversaries are already thinking in terms of sixth and seventh generation. And even we hear that our Western neighbor is hoping to procure sixth generation fighter aircraft from China. Now, if that is the background, and with the current deficiency levels that we have, we definitely require some matching capability to be able to withstand any threats to our national security. From that perspective, I think the Air Chief has been quite vocal and right about the fact that our attempts to get to a fifth generator fighter, its production as part of Make in India or either acquisition from outside, all these attempts are taking a lot of time. And till that time, the vulnerability continues. In a scenario where you have two adversaries on both sides, I don't think it's a very happy situation from a national security point of view. Therefore, the faster it happens, and F-35 that you mentioned could be a good choice, but then we need to cater, plan, and ensure it comes in quick time frame to make up our deficiency so that it enables our Air Force to be able to resort and take on any challenge.
Yes. Also, now just speaking, General Kapoor, about the deals which hopefully will also be inked very, very shortly for the procurement which we've agreed to pursue of Javelin missiles and Stryker vehicles. Now, what makes Javelin missiles and Stryker vehicles unique? What makes them important, and how would they add to our military prowess as well?
Both Javelin missiles and Stryker vehicles are advanced weapon systems. They can help in our armor and part of being our modernization plans, and they can definitely assist in fighting a better tactical and strategic battle. To that extent, they are both very useful, and they can be of big help in an adversarial situation. So acquiring them is again a good idea, but Make in India, while this process has been on for last about 5 to 7 years, unfortunately it takes little longer than that. I wish we had started maybe 25 years earlier. Unfortunately, it takes little longer to introduce equipment, try it out in different terrains within the country, and thereafter start manufacturing. And therefore, all this process is something in the range of 20 to 25 years. So while Make in India is an excellent suggestion and action plan, but it's going to take time. Until that happens, we have a situation where we may be vulnerable, especially with a two-front threat. So therefore, the need to acquire from outside, and both Stryker and Javelin can be good acquisition, as would F-35 be should we go ahead with it. But again, like I said, the constraining factor may well be the budgetary considerations. So all these things will have to be kept in mind by the political leadership so that we are in a position to tackle the threats on both our fronts.
Okay. General Kapoor, also now, as far as, of course, this procurement is concerned, we've said that it should happen with an Atmanirbhar focus. Does that mean that certain components for this will be manufactured by India? Is that also something that we are going to try and pursue?
You see, every country which has done research and produced these weapon systems would be chary of passing on that technology without requisite amount of compensation, etc., and the requirement to whether their part of so-called political thinking allows them to transfer such technology. So, keeping that in mind, whatever we can do within the country and promote Make in India will be a good idea. But these technologies will not come very easily. And the other aspect, like I mentioned earlier, is that even once these technologies come, the time frame for their introduction, trial, starting, and thereafter equipping the armed forces is a longish time frame. So, if that has to happen, our capability levels will therefore remain limited till that happens. So, to that extent, we need to at times go abroad and get some of these modern equipment,
Yes.
especially because in a lot of cases, our current equipment is reaching levels of
Yes.
obsolescence amounting to about 68%.
Yes, and that's something that we did in France as well, on the visit that just preceded the US one this week itself. We've obviously inked deals to further procure the, further Rafales and Scorpion as well by the end of this year.
Yes, so it's across all three services, the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. Any modern equipment will definitely be welcome to enhance our capability to meet such threats. So, keeping that in mind, especially the Air Force has got a problem because the media reports tell me that we currently have something like 32 fighter squadrons against an authorization of 42.5 squadrons. So, to make up that large gap, we need to move in quickly to acquire and therefore ensure a degree of stability as far as national security is concerned.
All right, General Deepak Kapoor, appreciate you joining us on NewsX.